Hey guys, welcome back to King's Outdoor Life. I'm filming my intro today at the end, which I do a lot. I get down here to work and I don't think about it. I just jump on the tractor and take off. So anyway, what we're doing today is using pallet forks. They're clamp-on pallet forks. For those of us who don't have a tractor, you can put on real pallet forks or a grapple. So it's hot, it's July, almost August here in Alabama, so that's why I am soaking wet with sweat. But you know, I got to thinking, another reason to do the intro at the end is low light conditions. I've told my wife for 25 years I look better in low light conditions. So anyway, come along with us today. Thanks for watching, and you'll see what we're doing here on the farm with a borrowed tractor. This is my brother-in-law's tractor. My tractor decided to lay down on me. If you haven't been watching my channel, I have a little John Deere, but this little Kubota, it's a 25 horsepower, four-wheel drive. He's got a little 4-foot bush hog on it, and I absolutely love this little tractor. It's hydrostatic drive, which I like, and I tell you, if my John Deere don't get busy and get to feeling better, she might be replaced with something more like this. So here's the pallet forks. So you can see here, these pallet forks, they're clamp-on. So they just clamp on the front of your bucket. And when you don't have a bucket that you can clamp on forks, like this is my brother-in-law's tractor, my John Deere is down, but I got a set of these clamp-on forks too. But they are so handy when you don't have a bucket you can put on a grapple or a real set of pallet forks. This tractor does not, the bucket would come off, but it's an act of Congress. It's not a quick attach bucket, just like mine. So these pallet forks, you just clamp them on the end. You can't overdo it. You can't pick up big old huge heavy loads for two reasons. One, the tractor can't hold it. It's bad on the bucket. How many reasons did I say? I don't know. It's bad for the bucket. It'll bend your bucket if you get too heavy loads, but also it puts the loads so far out in front of the tractor, it does not want to lift as much. So you lose a lot of your lifting power. And like a while ago, if you try to get too much, your back wheels will come off the ground. So what I'm doing today, you can see this big old dead tree. I hope you can see it here. It's getting low of light. I broke off a piece of it. That fell down through the edge of my woods back in the, I guess it's about February or March. I don't know, April, sometime this spring, early spring. And it's just a tangled mess. I walked the log the other day and cut the main branches off of it, then hooked to the main part of the log with my 3/4 ton pickup and drug it out here. So now I'm getting the rest of these limbs that I can get, and I'm putting them out here in a pile, and I'll get them with a pallet forks. So that's what I'm doing here. And I've got some footage. I've been working a while already of where I cut limbs off of all these trees. Anything that's going to get in my way to mow, I cut it off. So like you can see here where I cut this limb off. I cut 2 or 3 off this one. All those trees in there I cut off just to make it easier to mow around. And got a good pile down there, as you can probably see. So anyway, here's some footage of how to use these pallet forks. They are great to have. So here's what we did. These first piles that we started with is from dragging brush from down the side of the road. I took my pole saw and went down the side of the road where the trees had grown out into my trail, and we drug it into a manageable pile here. So you can see it's a pretty big pile of brush, but if you get too big, you can't deal with it. So what I've done, I kind of learned, and it's trial and error, some of you guys may be better at this than I am, is if you try to pick it up, you'll end up kind of falling the pile over, and then it'll have limbs sticking out everywhere, and you kind of have to keep on stacking it and restacking it. So what I've tried to do is, once I get a hold, here's our next pile here, once I get a hold of the pile, is keep it low to the ground and just kind of push it, and it'll kind of roll up on itself, because once you try to pick it up, it would fall apart. I have to back up and restack it. So once I figured out, you kind of leave it on the ground pretty much and just kind of push it along the ground, and it would come less near falling apart and losing limbs. So on each trip, I have fewer and fewer limbs that I have to come back and get, because I wasn't losing them when I was keeping it on the ground. So here it's probably 100 yards from up by the road down to the pile. I'm running this video on 8 times normal speed just so it goes so much faster. I try to keep these videos under 10 minutes, so hopefully people can watch more of it, because people will not watch a long video. I've learned that, or at least not mine. Maybe if I had better videos, people would watch more of them. But anyway, another trick I've learned in doing this is stack all of the brush the same direction. You can't just take a pile of brush that's just laying every which way and plan on getting a hold of it with these pallet forks and pushing it. So there that limb flipped over and rolled, but I was able to keep it down on the ground and keep it going. So skip to the pile and you just lift it up and put it on top of the pile and dump it off. The other thing is it's hard to get the limbs off the pallet forks, but you keep shaking and flipping and flopping and eventually they'll come off. Here I'm getting this big log, had to turn it a little bit, and putting it on top. These bigger, heavier logs are pretty good at pushing your pile down and it burns better. So here's all these limbs I cut up by my driveway, and I was able to just push them all up into a pile, restack it a little bit here, and then get really 2 trees worth of limbs in one trip. That all worked pretty well, didn't lose any of them. So anyway, that's kind of how I do it. The pallet forks are a game changer. I literally moved, 3-4 truckloads of brush in a matter of 15-20 minutes. And you can see I got a big, huge pile of brush here. And there's a little bit of moving it by hand, but not a lot. These limbs here, I just dropped straight down off the tree and went over and was able to pick them up. And here I've got 2 different trees far apart, so I just had to push them together and throw some together. But very little manual labor here, letting the tractor do the work. And these pallet forks are a game changer. They get loose, they flop. There are plenty of negatives for this. The clamp-ons, that real pallet forks are a whole lot better. But if you don't have the ability to put on real pallet forks, these clamp-on pallet forks really add another layer of usefulness to your front end loader. I can't imagine having a tractor without a front end loader now, and now with these pallet forks, even the clamp-ons, makes me want a reel set, but I can't imagine not having these pallet forks. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking, put on a little music for the last bit of this here. If you're still with me, thanks so much for watching, and if you haven't already, like the video and subscribe to the channel.